Okay, before I get started with this TNA review, I want to say this. I have my thoughts about what happened with TNA and ROH, and I'm going to leave this for the end of the review. I'm going to just do this review, basically, and then tell you my feelings about what we're dealing with now. But for the review, honestly, I felt this is the best show I've seen of TNA yet. It doesn't have a lot of bad problems in it, and it gave us a lot of content. But you tell me if you believe that or not. Let's open with something that I've been waiting for, and that has been the Dirty Heels turning heel. You call yourselves Dirty Heels, but you don't really turn fully heel. And I really felt like the first match, okay, they wanted to be good guys. But the second match, they only did a little bit of dirty heelishness. This, coming to it, I'm glad to see them finally supposedly turn heel, but it kind of feels a little too late. I can still think they can get over. Being nasty dirty heels, I don't have a problem with it. But the way they went about it is kind of a little late. Because you could have done this on the very first match beforehand. Austin Aries saying, we need to be dirty. We need to be real heels. And Bobby Roode says, no, I can't do this. First match, they job. Second match, before that week in between, before the second match, they could have easily shown, I'm so damn angry, what the fuck? I want to rip their fucking heads off. And what did Austin Aries says? We need to be dirty heels. We need to show people that we can be dirty. So one of them has a match that really shows how evil it can become, and that would be Robert Roode. You don't need to do that with Austin Aries. He will turn heel in a second. But Bobby Roode has been a face for a while, so you need to give him some reason to say, I gotta turn back to a heel. Then when they have the match, you could say that they win but lose because they do such a heelish thing that kind of messed them up. They had to be sneaky heels. But the way they did this wasn't 100% bad, but kind of felt late. But I'm alright to see dirty heels now being heels. But I do feel it was a bit late. Next, Jade versus Brooke. Now, I'm not having a problem seeing a feud between the Dollhouse versus Rebel and Brooke. Something we don't normally see. We don't see tag teams, a lot of women in TNA. The way it started with Brooke and Jade wasn't bad. The ending was pretty good with Brooke. Brooke is tie-dye right now. And I'm going to say this about Brooke. I'm not against Brooke. You guys heard how I sounded when she was in the Amazing Race and she was bitching her fucking head off. But I'm not against Brooke Tessmacher. I still love her as a wrestler. I do believe she can do good character development. And seeing her work with Rebel, who we don't really see much at all of, and I did say it, when she first came out, she would eventually become a wrestler. And a couple of people said, no, she's not going to wrestle. What do we got now? She's now going to be in a, not a very strong storyline. It's just going to be a storyline of the Dollhouse going against someone to have fun with in a Brooke and a Rebel. And seeing Rebel get her ass kicked, not so bad. Like to see more Rebel on the floor like that. Sorry I had to say it. She's a beautiful woman. Sorry. This leads me into the next segment. Since we got women dealing with it, we have Velvet Sky, a plot device Madison Rayne, which I'm alright with. Give me Madison in small little chunks, I'm okay with. She's not very good as a heel, and she's not very good as a face. If you're going to show her on TV, give us a reason to show her for a plot device. If anybody really loves Madison Rayne, I understand it. I'm not against you, dude, or do that. But Madison Rayne has never had a very good, compelling character. There's always been some type of problem with her. They either dragged it on too long or it was too silly and wonky. So in this case, since she's being used in this respect, okay. Maybe TNA will actually give us something where if she's not perfect at it, it'll be something better. But let's be honest here. Velvet Sky, looking good. I have to admit she's wearing too much makeup. It kind of makes her look a little older than she is. The boobies look great. She's dressed like she wants to kick ass. She has kicked ass. When she gets smacked in the face, she's laughing and smiling, which is perfect. Like I said, you can get over more without saying anything than saying something. And in the end, what do we get? Velvet Sky gets arrested, and then Angelina Love gets arrested for smacking the hell out of a Velvet Sky who's a fan now. Eventually, we're going to have them in the ring, and that'll probably be at Slammiversary. I'm hoping it's not Destination X. Let it be Slammiversary, a nice start there. That's what we really need. And please, TNA, continue having Velvet Sky not say nothing. Let her grin, let her laugh, let her wiggle her boobs, let her wear the chain, whatever. Just keep her like this for a while. She will get majorly over. The Rising versus the Beatdown Clan. I have a problem with this. It's not that the match was bad. Eli Drake, to me, I'm going to be honest here, I love Drew McIntyre. I loved him as that. I believed he could have had more in the tank, but he never went far enough with him when he got hurt. But when you see Drew Galloway, he has that same potential. But if I look at an Eli Drake compared to a Drew Galloway, even though Eli Drake has not been shown enough, you can obviously see the difference in their performance. Drew McIntyre is not bad at all, but Eli Drake just has a little bit more polish than a Drew. There's no way to deny that. I cannot deny that. I would rather see Drew Galloway really get up in the rank. But if I had to really look at this objectively, Eli Drake should go first. And Micah, unfortunately, is still a little too green. He just feels green. 100%. But in the end, what do we get? We have Drew Galloway get the win over a low-key. I'm alright with that. But here's the problem. We've had these two guys for a while now. We're talking about the Beatdown Clan versus the Rising. There needs to be a blow-off. There needs to be a climax to this. So I was thinking one team at Slammiversary must disband while the other team is allowed to keep. That's what needs to finally happen. You can't keep having these guys feud together and there's not enough substance behind it. Because it's just I know that the substance for the Rising is simple. That they want fairness. They want purity in wrestling. But it gets old after a while. So you really need to do either one of two things. Have a blow-off at Slammiversary eventually. Or, as we saw a couple of weeks back, Eli Drake getting angry and he goes to the Beatdown Clan, and then you're going to have Micah and Drew Galloway by themselves. And maybe they bring an extra person in, but in the end, that's what's got to happen eventually, because we can't have this too long, because Aces and Eights ended up like that. And at first, they were refreshing until we got fucking tired of them. Now, here's something that might surprise you. Lashley versus Eli. Now, I was actually kind of upset because there was no build-up for this. At first, before the match, when I found they were going to start together, I'm thinking, why are they not building up into this? Why not do this at Destination X? And the match wasn't a bad match. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. Not until I saw Chris Melendez come out did I think, okay, they're actually using Lashley as a plot device to get Eli and Chris Melendez to have a feud. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, dude, we don't need to see this. Actually, we do. You know why? You have a Eli grabbing the fake leg of a former military veteran and uses it to try and strangle Angle. In this respect, it's the best way to do this for a Chris Melendez. Let's be honest here, Chris is green as hell. The way he was talking after that segment, he didn't look serious enough. He tried his best to be as serious as he could, and let's be honest, not everyone can give off a serious type of persona. No matter how menacing they are, if they just don't have it, they don't have it. Or they can learn to have it. Chris, I believe, is still in the learning process. And if he does have it, he needs time to develop it. But since he's not in the developmental of OVW, he's got to do it somewhere. So this is the best place to do it. Work with an Eli. And you could have a Lashley by his side because Lashley is a former Army veteran. Just like Mr. Anderson, it makes perfect sense to have him with him. And at least it will give us something extra. Because we need more. We don't get storylines like this in the WWE. And that reminds me of storylines. The best storyline of TNA. I love Mickie Jane and I love Storm's segment. Oh my goodness, Storm confesses his devotion to Mickie, even if he's not saying he loves her. He's devoted her because that's his longtime friend, and he's trying to see that the Revolution can be a nurturing place for Donovan. This was done very well executed. Even if he wasn't directly saying, I love you, Mickie, leave that British fart and be with a real man that is from the South that will treat you like a woman. And try to make inbreeding possible. But you get my point. This was a wonderful segment, and at the very end, what does he do? He walks with her somewhere, and he wants to let it be very well known, if you don't do what I want, I'm going to make sure you don't do anything. Push her off the edge of where the train was, and said, that looked like a long way down, baby. That must have hurt. Magnus, your baby ain't coming home. Not for a long while. Beep. I am very happy to see this. I am glad they're going there. Using a Mickie Jane who's a good actress. Not the greatest, but a good, sexy. Oh my God, she's beautiful, man. She's become more beautiful after having her baby. That happens sometimes. Look at Marilyn Monroe. Look at Jane Mansfield. If you don't know who those people are, look them up. Both of them had kids. Well, when it came to Marilyn Monroe, she really didn't keep that baby. I think it miscarried, but still her body adjusted itself. I'm not exactly sure if I can remember. I think she had a baby, and it's not dead, but you get my point. When a woman has a child, if she doesn't really have a lot of curves, they tend to get more curvy and their body become more beautiful, including their face. Mickie Jane just looks gorgeous. And she's doing a good job on this feud. I am very interested in seeing how far they're going to push the darkness of Storm. And let's move on from there to... I'm going to talk about the Dollhouse before I talk about Angle, Spud, and EC3, and you know who. The one thing I want to make very clear about the Dollhouse. I am very glad that Terrence Terrell has been turned heel because she's doing a very good job of it. I'm glad they're not allowing Gail Kim to come back immediately. I'm hoping she'll be back after Slammiversary. In between the time... Well, no. Not Slammiversary. My mistake. I'm getting Destination X and Slammiversary mixed up because I'm very interested in seeing what Destination X is going to be next week. But essentially, if Gail Kim comes back after Destination X, and in between Destination X and Slammiversary she comes back, would actually be the wisest thing to do. That's what I'm hoping for. But if they do bring her back early, make sure her husband's also included in this equation. If he's not, this makes no sense. Because if Gail is going to be fucking angry because Terrence Terrell's taking her husband and his family, they must show it. If it's not something that's outside wrestling, they must put it into wrestling. It must happen. Must happen. Now last, but certainly not least, the Rockstar Spud Rising. Spud for champ. I'm going to say it like this. I may even do a debate of the week on it. The opening with the Barbershop Quartet. I have not seen a Barbershop Quartet in a long time. Not even talking about wrestling. I just haven't seen people do it. And I know it's still out there, but this was pretty cool. Seeing the beginning and making it very clear to EC3, the hardcore American icon, have to say it like that. He basically has the right to be the #1 contender after Spud and Aries. Because they got the right. Spud was so well spotlighted throughout the night for his indecision, his frustration, not knowing what to do, needing time. Then when it came to about the middle of the show, finally he speaks and he lets EC3, who is the one who made Spud, he should not have the right to do that, but he did do it right. He said exactly what he needed to say. I loved your family. I loved our position. You fucked me over. Screw you, your aunt, up your ass. I'm going to be going for that belt. That was well said. And at the end of the match, Spud with Angle was actually a good movement, because that gave you a chance to really see how well Spud can perform in the ring and how well the people were over for him. And just like at the one, I believe it was 1 hour main event, when it was at the end of the show, Spud was on top. Truly, people really want to see Spud as champ. And that's how I left the show. It was a good show showing how good Spud was over and how decently well the storylines are doing. I mean, the storylines are good. Now, this is the end of the show. I want to say something about OH and TNA. I really don't want to stretch this too long, but I got to say this. I don't want to do this in the debate of the week because it's going to be very frustrating to try and really discern what's best for wrestling right now. Because when you see this on Destination America, it's not good. You got two different promotions that are coming 1 hour after the other. Excuse me. And the worst thing about it is, from what is being stated, it's a good possibility neither one is going to stay there very long anyway. This is actually a very bad thing. Unless this is what I'm thinking is the most positive. Because the most negative is what we already know. They could get rid of TNA. Then they can get rid of ROH at the end of it. ROH would be perfectly fine because they'll still have Sinclair. TNA, unless they already got another deal, they're only going to be able to do this stuff on the internet. Unless they get another deal beforehand or after that. So we won't see anything of it. Unless something gets worked out. But I'm going to think of this in the best possible outcome. Let's say that Destination America's promotion and their advertisement realized they gained a lot of revenue. Let's say the executives there and the ones in advertisement say, hey, execs, we started getting a little bit more revenue. We're actually getting more uptick. We're actually doing well. I think it's because we got two promotions on the same network and we're actually doing pretty well with them. And they say, you know what? Let's not get rid of TNA. Who says we have to bow out on their contract by September? Let's keep them on. Let's move them to Tuesday nights. And let's keep ROH on Wednesday. That's the best case scenario I can see, hopefully short term, until things could be worked out more often. TNA and ROH don't have to collab at all. But the point is that if you are going to go there with these two, if they actually get an increase in revenue, which probably they won't get a huge increase in audience, and then maybe they might get an increase in revenue a little bit because of it. But if they notice that they're getting a huge amount of increase in people watching both promotions, they think we should not get rid of our ROH and we should not get rid of TNA. Let's separate them off the same day, put TNA, who's a much more stronger promotion, either Monday, which is actually kind of hard because you're going to go up against Monday Night Football or WWE, which would be better is Tuesday. There's nothing going on Tuesday, and maybe you'll move ROH Thursday, which would be a competitor to SmackDown, or keep it on Wednesday. The reason I'm saying this, I'm trying to see this with the best point of view because this is not a good spot I see either promotion in. Even though ROH would be getting more exposure, TNA is going to get hit hard as well. And the kicker is, casual fans essentially are about to see two different promotions, and they may notice that TNA is better than ROH, and you may lose some of your shares to TNA. That's just ROH, but this is just how I feel about it. How about you? So I hope you enjoyed this Zane's View. Please give me a comment below. And my debate of the week on Ryback should be tomorrow or just uploaded after this. Have a good day and have a good night. Peace!